Experiences that blow your mind just hit different in VR. For example, it's crazy how an alright horror game on this platform feels scarier than the best flat screen equivalent, but there's a reason for that. For the last year, I've played around in dozens upon dozens of VR titles, many of which you guys will never hear about because those aren't worth your time. But I've got 3 examples of some of the most engaging aspects of VR gaming, along with the games that brought them to us. Bear in mind there are a lot more of these, but these are just the first 3 that came to mind. Blade and Sorcery is a VR combat legend for one simple reason: the combat is as fun as it is dynamic. Yeah, combat is an umbrella that includes VR FPS games, but gunplay is a mechanic that VR gets right pretty easily, and the same just cannot be said for close combat. In Blade and Sorcery, every fight from start to end is really engaging. Both the size of your weapon and how you use it matter. But so does the size of your opponent's weapons and how many friends they bring to the party. This game just gives you the flexibility to be as creative as you want in a fight, and it's incredible. Everything has a comically realistic feel to it. You're not just repeatedly swiping and watching health bars go down. And for those of you who think Skydance's Behemoth has amazing combat, let's just agree to disagree. But the combat here is so good that this game could get by on combat alone. And we haven't even touched on the magic yet. This game might as well be called Wrath of God Simulator because the magic feels like an otherworldly experience. Couple in the fact that you can get even more creative with magic than weapons, and you can easily see why this game is on this list. It was S tier in the early days of VR gaming, and it is still S tier today. The power of fire, lightning, and gravity are all at your fingertips, and somehow the developers made it all feel intuitive. The controls are so well designed that switching between weapons and magic is just the chef's kiss of simplicity. Incidentally, and no pun intended again, this makes it very easy to mix and match both blades and sorcery. But when you stack this game up against other fully released blade fighting games, their combat just pales in comparison. There's no way around it. No other game comes this close to making you feel like your skills, wits, and reflexes are the biggest factors in whether you win or lose. But if you're looking for incredible resource management, look no further than Into the Radius. I'm not even talking about the sequel that's in early access. That game is primed to take what we love about the first to a whole new level. But this is a game that really makes you appreciate your gear. It's usually not a good idea to start blasting off most weapons you find in the Radius because they need maintenance. But cleaning your gun in this one might as well be its own minigame since it's a multi-step process. Gun cleaning requires using things like toothbrushes and rods, which adds a touch of care that makes it feel like something really belongs to you. Of course, you could just not maintain your guns, but the more you neglect them, the more they neglect you. In other words, expect them to jam. But resource management doesn't stop there because even your gun's food needs attention. Just like your guns, the magazines that go in them need to be properly cared for, or you risk being neglected. Not to mention the fact that bullets can be loaded individually by hand. And the fact that you can use different kinds of the same size ammo, which changes things like bullet damage and armor penetration. It sounds like a lot for sure, but it's not, simply because of how immersive the whole thing is. You're in control of every step, and it draws you deeper into the survival experience. But speaking of experiences, I recently reviewed a game called Iron Rebellion, which in terms of immersion embodies how all VR games should aspire to feel. By far the biggest problem in VR gaming right now is the lack of focus on the experience of the players. But Iron Rebellion kicks that problem in the teeth because the entire game feels designed around you. You aim and fire your weapons, you push the buttons to start up your mech, you pull the levers to do all the things, and you feel immersed while you're doing all of this. Many of the big VR titles have a lot of money behind their development, but, and I say this unapologetically, many of them should be embarrassed standing next to this game. For any VR game developer watching this, current or future, just remember that if we wanted point and click, we wouldn't be putting on Meta's uncomfortable headsets. But these are just 3 of many VR experiences that make this platform worth the cost of a new headset. Share your memorable VR experiences down in the comments because I'm genuinely curious. And while you're down there, like and subscribe for a small creator. But until next time.
Okay, come on. Yeah, oh, I pushed the door down with his head. That's insane, isn't it? That's sick.